Hey everybody, Joel Norden here, and today I am reviewing Stranger of Paradise, which is a Final Fantasy game, and I played it on the PlayStation 5. Well, I have not played a whole lot of Final Fantasy games. I've played Final Fantasy 7. I've played Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, I think it's called, for the GameCube. I've played Kingdom Hearts, which is not technically a Final Fantasy game, but it definitely borrows some characters from there. And I think I played Final Fantasy Online. So this is like my fourth or fifth, however you want to look at it, Final Fantasy game. First off, I will start with the negatives of what I thought on this. And the negatives for me... Hold on here. The negatives, I'd say, are story and character. They're pretty weak. It kind of comes off as like, all right, I'll take this is paraphrasing, obviously, but in the beginning, there's kind of like this cheesy interaction of the main character who's this gruff, I can do everything by myself character, right? And these two guys that they're like, oh, we're going with you. And it's just such an awkward, clunky narrative. And it wasn't great when it comes to that. So story and character-wise is not all there. Gameplay-wise, phenomenal. I loved it. It was a little linear, as in like... you're picking spots on a map, you're going into it, and it goes one way, and you get to the end, and you're done, and then you pop back out to the main map, right? And then you could redo that with like a side quest, and then it's basically the map reversed. So in that, it kind of reminded me of an RPG from like the early 2010s, where they were just kind of getting that idea of like open world stuff, but they didn't quite go there, and everything was kind of just like you're following a path. So that is also, I guess, a downfall. But the gameplay was wonderful. I enjoyed the character setup, the progression. I really, really liked the leveling on this, and that's what kept me coming back to this game. Basically the leveling kind of has, I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how it works, but it basically would be like you start as a warrior, and then you unlock like a class that's connected to warrior, which would be like after you use it enough, obviously. So it'd be like you unlock fighter, and then you unlock berserker connected to that, and then on the other realm, like you'd start with a rogue, and you could slowly unlock things like the Ronin, a samurai, a ninja, and each thing did its own special thing, and it was, that part of it was absolutely enjoyable. I enjoyed the creatures we were fighting. There were some pretty hard battles in this, and the bosses were sweet. Like I said, the gameplay itself I've really enjoyed, and that's what kept me coming back. Gameplay and the level progression. I'm still new to these kind of RPGs, so I could be off. I normally play like games like The Witcher 3, Dragon Ages. Honestly, I started with, when it came to RPGs, I started playing with the CRPGs, so there was like Pool of Radiance, Neverwinter Nights, that kind of stuff. Baldur's Gate. So I'm definitely new to the more like Final Fantasy and that kind of feel. Though I did play Final Fantasy 2 as a kid on the Super Nintendo, and that was a blast. But yeah, no, this game I would say I'd probably go with a 3.6. Graphics were great on the PS5. The game played well, level progression solid, but that lacking story narrative and the characters just was kind of awkward. And yeah, so it is what it is. I'd say a 3.6 out of 5 is where I'm sitting with that. But I definitely would say if you're a hardcore Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy player, give it a shot for sure. I still, at the end of the day, enjoyed it. I didn't think it was a waste of money by any means, and I could definitely see myself coming back and playing it a little bit later. I will say another thing that was real rough, though, was the tutorials. to get one of the trophies, you have to beat all the tutorials, and some of the tutorials just had really unrealistic moves that you had to do in the tutorial, and they were almost impossible. And I went back to play the tutorial while I was at the end of the game, and went back to get those so I get a trophy. And I was struggling on a few of those for sure. But all in all, like I said, I think it's worth the money, especially if you get it on like a decent sale or something. But there's definitely, the game is lacking in places. So just don't expect like this amazing Final Fantasy game. It is definitely a side tier to the Final Fantasy series. But yeah, guys, if you guys enjoyed my reaction or my review, my gosh, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. Come join our community, have some fun with us. And until next time, guys, I'm Joel Norden. Peace out.